book begins by describing 5 different types of offerings that were to be made. And all of them were for a different purpose. And all foreshadowed a different aspect of Jesus' sacrifice for us. Okay?
Go ahead and try and get to where you need to be.
All right. Let me see what we got here. Okay. So this is the theme of Leviticus, tells us about the worship which takes place within that tabernacle. And Leviticus 1:1, then the Lord called to Moses and spoke to him from the tent of meeting. And this is just an artist rendition of the tabernacle. Okay? So Genesis begins with creation. Exodus begins in bondage. Leviticus begins in sacrifice. And that's what we looked at in Genesis and Exodus. Now we're getting ready for Leviticus. Genesis depicts the rise of God's people. Exodus tells of the redemption from Egypt. And Leviticus sets forth the rituals of worship and holiness. Genesis, the origins of the nation, we find in Genesis. Exodus, we have the deliverance of the nation. And in Leviticus, the life of the nation. And then Genesis is theocracy born. Exodus and Leviticus is theocracy established. And that's why these 3 books are so important. So why should we study Leviticus? Well, as I mentioned, historical reasons. It gives the historical background for the remainder of the Bible. And the theological reasons, it establishes such principles as redemption and sacrifice. And the religious reasons, it teaches us about worship. So, laws of offering, as I mentioned, Leviticus 1-7. 10 weeks after their deliverance from Egypt, and those are the scriptures we looked at. The word for offering is korban, and Leviticus chapters 1-7. Chapters 1-3 and chapters 4-5, we had these offerings here. Burnt offerings, grain offerings, peace offerings, sin offerings, and guilt offerings. Okay? They were offered in worship, and they were offered because of sin or guilt. And then in chapters 6 and 7, we focus on the priest's action in the offering ritual and mentions the disposal of the offering after it has been offered. Any questions or comments? Okay. So what takes place in a sacrifice? Let's see here. I don't want to get ahead of myself here. Make sure. Thank you, Kelvin. Yeah, here we are. So what takes place in a sacrifice? First off, we have the principle of a gift. We have the principle of a death, and we have the principle of a substitute, and we have the principle of a healed relationship. And when you think of all of those things, you can think of Jesus Christ and the sacrifice that He made, the death on the cross. Okay? So, burnt offerings did not originate here in Leviticus. Now, I told you if you have a hard time answering questions, I'm going to help you out. And
Who was the original? Who was the original?
Abel.
Abel. That's what I was thinking.
Abel was not the original.
Noah
Right.
was.
Noah
Noah.
was not the original.
Moses.
Moses was not the original.
That's what I put down.